Hello, hello, people. How are you all? I just worked a very big, very busy convention, um, but my boss wanted us all to be freshly rested to drive home. So Louisa drove home today. Excuse me. And I drove 6 hours to get home. Got very salty that I needed to stop for gas at 4 hours. I told my coworkers because like we carpooled basically. I so the, they picked me up because they're based in Atlanta, so they picked me up on the way there, and then I drove to my house, and then they continued on to Atlanta. But when I got in the car, I told them I was like, okay, if you need to get out to use the bathroom or to stretch your legs, you have to let me know because we are not stopping. I'm like, that's not how I road trip. So
Well, I made a Negroni, and that's my accomplishment for the weekend.
that's fair.
I did also. I threw a baseball around for a while, and I hadn't done that in over a year. So the old legs are a bit sore,
That's fair.
but it's a good sore. It's good.
I'm glad it's a good sore.
It's a good sore.
I'm going to be feeling very maybe not good sore
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm saying good sore as mostly just like to try to convince myself. I'm like, no, no, no. It's good to feel
you're
like it.
the it's building muscles sore. I'm
Yeah.
the I did too much and I know it's sore.
No,
I,
mine it's more like, wow, I am at a point now where that makes me sore when it used to be something I did a lot more intensely regularly
Mhm.
without being sore, and now it's
And as we're
playing
complaining
some catch.
about how sore we are, our fee was in Virginia Saturday and Sunday and ran a half marathon.
Dang.
Got 1 hour, 54 minutes, 43 seconds. So I beat my time last year by
Hell
over 3
yeah.
minutes. Fuck yeah, that's great.
I don't think I could do anything for an hour and 54 minutes, let alone running.
You can drive.
I shouldn't. I shouldn't drive for that long. I can't focus on a road for 120 minutes almost. That's
No,
no,
that's why
no.
I play an audiobook.
Yo, yeah, like I can sit in a car for that long. Is it the safest? Am I the safest driver on the road at that point? Because I've forgotten that I'm driving after about 45 minutes.
This is why for the
Yeah,
writing retreat, we just had you park.
yeah, no, exactly. Well, okay, I'm a good driver for about 30 minutes, and then
Oh,
after
okay.
that, it's we're gonna lose some focus.
I see. I see. Um, so for everybody who does not know, because I have not done one of these in a year, we're doing a Let's Talk movie today. Specifically, we're going to sort of round up Matt May, even though I have another stream next week and Matt won't be there. So we're
So it
finishing.
doesn't really count, and guys, don't even like come show up so that it doesn't hurt the viewership, but like
You're like, don't hurt her
don't
algorithm.
hurt the algorithm. Drop in, leave a like, but if you need to like miss a week, next week's maybe the week to do it.
We're,
Oh, that's
we're
mean. I'm kidding.
finishing. We're finishing off Matt May by continuing the series of Let's Talks where Matt catches up on great animated movies.
Yes.
And this time I picked Onward for Matt, which I don't know if it's because I'm post con tired and drove 6 hours, but it actually made me tear up this time. I'm like, damn, Onward.
I still have my streak going of having never cried at a movie.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, for sure though.
This one, you're like, but if I was gonna cry at a
Like, if I was
movie,
gonna, like,
this is
yeah.
the one I would pick.
I mean, was definitely one of those where I'm like, oh, my throat is tight and my chest is heavy and my eyes are warm. But
For people who don't know what Onward is about, Onward is an interesting take on like contemporary fantasy where like magic is a thing of the past, and you know it's very modern and very electronic, except there's like no humans and everyone's just we lost Matt. Everyone's a fantastical race like centaurs. Our three main characters are elves. Notably, they are blue elves. And the story of it is that these. Hold on, sorry, Matt messaged. Okay, his computer restarted, so he'll be back soon. But it's a kind of a coming of age story where we've got these two brothers. The older brother is college age and he's taking a gap year, and the younger brother is in high school. It's his like 18th anniversary. Their dad had died of an illness, presumably something similar to cancer. And when they were kids, the older brother has a couple memories of their dad, but the younger brother does not. And for the 18th birthday, their mom had been holding on to a package from their dad, and turns out in the package is a spell to revive somebody for one day. And the older brother, who's like really into that universe's D&D, he tries it and stuff, but it doesn't work because he doesn't have the gift of magic, and they all get a little disappointed and stuff. And then later that night, the little brother tries it, and he does have magic, so it does work. But he loses focus because he's like has a lot of confidence issues and stuff, and he loses focus. So only the bottom half of their dad comes back. And then the brothers go, well, he loses focus because his big brother like barges in because he's like, what are you doing in here? And then well-meaningly trying to help him focus, but distracts him. So they go on a road trip adventure together to find a phoenix gem to help with their dad. And the younger brother had like he didn't actually have a very good opinion of his older brother. He like kind of thought that he was a like screw up and stuff and didn't understand why he was taking a gap year. But he kind of kept that to himself until they like exploded on the road. And the older brother, he was just like, he's like, you don't give me a chance to show you that I'm not a screw up and that I can be right. And so it's like they really bond, and through the experience of the journey, the younger brother kind of he forms a new appreciation for his older brother, especially at the end, because the phoenix gem had a curse on it that like this giant stone dragon formed to protect it when they finally did find it. Well, only one of them could like actually talk to the dad because of the stone dragon threat. And the little brother tells his older brother that you should talk to him, because during the adventure he had like confessed to him that he had 4 memories of their dad, not 3, and that the 4th memory was he was supposed to go tell his dad that he was supposed to go into the hospital room and tell his dad goodbye, but he was like scared of the tubes and their dad didn't look like himself, so he never went in, and he always regretted that. And that's why he said, like, that's why he decided that he would never be afraid of anything ever again. And so that's why he like you can tell at different parts of the movie that he is afraid, but he doesn't let it hold him back at all. And so the big brother gets to say goodbye to the dad and get closure and stuff. Meanwhile, oh yeah, the mom, she's badass. And she had like found out they went on the quest. So she has been following them like one step behind, even like teamed up with a manticore. And then they go on the journey and stuff. And so she and the little brother actually sort of like team up and work together to kill the stone dragon. And so that was pretty cool. And also, like, as sort of a side effect of the journey, because the older brother is such a nerd for like their history and like magic and stuff, they had like run into a biker gang of pixies. And the biker gang of pixies, like, you know, they were riding motorcycles, and he's like, well, you know, your ancestors used to be able to fly, but then they just stopped using their wings. And I love the one pixie. He's like, "You calling me lazy? No, I'm calling your ancestors lazy. I'm talking about your ancestors. What'd you say about my ancestors?" But then, like, by the end of the movie, they're flying all over the
place. I love that my computer does this cool thing where after it's been on for roughly 10 minutes, it blows up and has to do a full reset that takes about 5 minutes, and then, knocking on wood here, is completely fine for the rest of the time that it's on. It just...
So what you should do is when you go make dinner, you turn it on.
Yes.
And
that is, I guess, the protocol for this thing. This has happened 2 weeks in a row now, where it's like 10 minutes into the stream, it blows up. But yeah, I just miss the recap for for the audience? Yeah.
It was a very sparse recap.
Yeah. Very much enjoyed the movie. Yeah. Do we have like planned talking points or?
I will pull from the memories of our previous talking points, but I didn't realize until today that the last time we did a movie Let's Talk was on StreamYard, not Restream. So I was like, I don't have anything set up.
All right. Well, may I start with my least favorite thing about the movie?
Yeah, we can start with least favorite.
Least favorite thing, okay. And I know this doesn't matter at all, but...
Doesn't matter.
At one point, they need to sail down a river, and they're like, oh, if only we had like a raft or something. And so what they do is they take like a Cheeto Puff, and they cast an enlarging spell on it and make a very large Cheeto Puff, and then they use that as their raft. And that's like, besides cotton candy, the most water-soluble food on Earth. And I'm just like, this could have been us. Yeah, but it would dissolve.
No, actually, like, okay, so one, I am with you that it needed to dissolve to some extent, but like, as someone who has had children drop Cheeto Puffs in a pool, they only dissolve to a point, and then they like become this weird spongy texture.
If you put them, because what I've done is, as a little scientist, put a Cheeto Puff in my mouth and just held it in there until it dissolves.
That's different,
but
though.
That is saliva. That is saliva compared to regular water.
Yes, and saliva specifically has food, like like bacteria to break food down.
No, and that's a good point. But I'm just saying, I'm like, you chose the like most dissolvable food on Earth to make a boat out of.
No, you're thinking of human Cheeto Puffs.
You're right. These are magic Cheeto Puffs.
That's right.
Fantasy Cheeto Puffs.
No, it's not magic because, you know, the magic
of the world.
But their Cheeto Puff technology is just more advanced than our Cheeto Puff technology.
Yeah. But yeah, like that happened, and I'm just like because I was writing some sparse notes throughout the movie, and they make a Cheeto Puff boat, and I'm just like, that wouldn't work. I can excuse magic, but like this should have just been a turkey sandwich or something. It could have been any other food or a potato chip. You could have done a big old potato chip, and I would have been on board. But I draw the line at Cheeto Puff.
The thing that I like, the only gripe I have with the movie is the mom and dad were supposed to have had this like really good, like long relationship since high school, and he never told her he was a wizard.
Yeah.
He even like thought of his wizard name, and this never came up in conversation. Like they had 2 kids together. One of like, and apparently wizardry is genetic. So it's like both kids have a 50-50 shot of being wizards. And he never thought to tell her this.
I thought that she like knew that he like did it as a hobby, but like I think she thought it was more of like a passing interest sort of thing.
No, I think I kind of got the vibe that she thought it was very similar to how her oldest is like a history buff.
Yeah.
And like plays the fantasy Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Which is really, really funny to have Dungeons and Dragons exist inside of a fantasy world.
It is. It's so great.
That's basically like the game of life to us.
Also, that the D&D was so world accurate to their actual like lore stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, and that was fun to just have the little like the little D&D references here and there, but like unspecific enough that it's like not just directly D&D, but like is D&D.
Yes. I think my favorite thing about the movie is just the animation, to be honest, like especially the facial expressions. Like the older brother, you can see in his like body language in his face during the trust bridge part.
Yeah.
When they ran out of rope, and he just knows. He's like, if he figures it out, he's going to lose faith in himself and die. So he's just sitting there and he's trying so hard to hold it together and betray nothing in his voice while simultaneously feeling terrified. And there's some level of guilt there.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm the one who told him he could do it. Like, And then like when Ian, the little brother, gets there and he almost does die, but he catches himself and stuff. And he falls to his knees with the little tears in his eyes.
No, I didn't really. I like him just being like so shell shocked as he's just like pulling the lever, just like, oh.
And then his brother just getting up and being like, "Yeah, see, I knew you could do it."
Yeah, we did it.
They can never. It's like, I needed the rope. Did you?
No, it's funny you bring up the art and animation style because, like, and this is speaking as someone who truly knows nothing about these mediums. I like the animation. I don't like as much the art style, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Of like, and I feel this way about a lot of like modern animation, is like, especially like Western animation.
Yeah.
And I just feel like a lot of the characters in this art style end up looking almost like they're made out of felt.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
I'm more okay with it in Onward because like none of them are human, and like the centaur should have because horses have that layer of felt. And you know what? The elves were blue. I can fine with Smurf blue fuzzy elves.
It is. I would agree because like in this movie, it kind of just faded into the background for me.
Yeah.
But like in other movies where it's like human characters that have that same texture, I'm always just like, why do you look like that? Like, and they always have the same like weird like pear head shape.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, stop that. No, quit it.
Like, I also like how everyone, this is like deep deeply fantasy setting with these elves and this centaur and manticore, and everyone is so Midwestern.
Yeah, it is. This movie happened in Indiana.
I,
This was about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Indianapolis. That's where this movie happened.
that's fair.
Like it's just the Midwest, and like it made everything feel, as someone who lives in the Midwest, so familiar. And I'm just like, yeah, this is in my backyard.
Also, I love the way the mom interacts differently with her sons and
I
stuff.
love the mom. I have written down the mom is my favorite character in this movie.
She deserves it.
Yeah, she rocks.
Unsure I want any details on her and the centaur, but
And I also wrote down that the centaur sucks. I don't like him. But I love the mom, and I think
he has great hair though.
he does have great hair.
That reveal at the end.
Literally at the end of the movie, I'm watching the movie, and towards the end, she's like, "Oh, I'm having a girls' night with the manticore." I'm like, I said out loud, I went, "Find a new man, leave him." Because yeah, like he's out here just like trying to stop them. He's like, "Yeah, your mom said there's a family thing going on, but I'm bringing you in anyway."
Right? Like she
literally by the rubble,
did not ask for his assistance. If anything, she was very clear that she wanted to handle her son.
I also loved how like she was worried, but like really not that worried she was throughout this whole movie. She's like, this is stressful, but also like I fully think they've got it.
Like the more she heard of, I think at first she was just terrified that her oldest was going to get her youngest a little killed.
Yeah, a little killed.
Or just really, I think less dead and more traumatized.
Yeah.
But then like the more she heard, she was like, oh, they're just having a boys trip. I just got to make sure it doesn't end in them dying.
Yeah. And then even them like fighting the dragon and stuff at the end, which by the way, I love the design of that dragon. I thought that was super cool.
It's got the dorky cartoon.
I cracked up when the eyebrows then like went down. But yeah, like even at the end, or like she hasn't seen them since their quest. So she's only sort of heard about the character development that's happened away from her. And then she's immediately like, Ian, catch the sword, go fight the dragon. I'm like, as far as you're aware, that is still your like afraid of his shadow.
Exactly. That's why
son.
He the sword. But then like she saw him flying all over the place, 1v1ing a stone dragon so his brother can have closure. She's like, we got this.
Yeah, like, and that's why I love her. Like, she is such a good example of like a mom character that is like, yes, like, because sometimes you get too far one way where it's like she trusts her children so much that I'm like, okay, you should be concerned, like you are their mother, but like she perfectly straddles that balance of trusting them but also like being concerned for them.
I love when she walks in the room and she looks down and she sees the note, which I also love that you can tell he has like this is one of the earliest definitive signs to me that he had stepped into his father's role as like not the man of the house. I have a hard time seeing their mother letting there be a man of the house,
right?
In general, but like that, the parentification that he went and the how just from like his demeanor and how he talks and how respectful and playful he is with his mom, you know that he like helped her. He's made dinner and stuff so she could work.
Absolutely.
Right. Like you know that's their relationship.
And that dinner was chicken nuggets, but he did it.
Probably.
And like they were probably still frozen in the middle, but he did it.
No, she is a Midwestern mom. She left pre-made food.
I was gonna say there was a casserole that just needs to pop into the oven.
It probably was still a little frozen in the middle.
Yeah, because it's made with like frozen tater tots and 4.5 bags of cheddar cheese. And it's delicious. So
and half of it was eaten by their pet dragon.
Yeah.
Which I love that their pet dragon does not in fact resemble any other, like it is not a dog, it is not a cat, that is a weird dragon thing that just
encircles them. Tackles you to the ground when you walk in the door.
To be fair, I think Ian is the only one that got tackled.
That's true, and I do think Ian weighs roughly 65 pounds.
I think he only weighs as much as the dragon's tail.
Yeah. Which is also like at the end when he like flips Barley over. I'm like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Hey, no, you didn't.
You're like, Barley let you do that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care how much you've been practicing. You didn't do that. You are not strong enough, my guy.
I think that he could have, because the way that those flips are typically done involves the other person's inertia. Like you're not actually using your own strength. But no, Barley he would have had to deadlift him.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're a wizard, honey. Calm down.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, dude, I know you have 4 hit points. Don't. I know your constitution's a 9. Get out. Sit down.
Oh, what I was gonna say with the note is he leaves her a note going on an adventure, Mom. Be back, and she immediately knew something was up.
I also love that he wrote it in his own font.
Yes, and she just like looks around, like, where are some clues as to what my children are up to? And I'm like, yes, sleuth Mom. She did not hesitate to lie to that police officer.
No.
I love the Manticore too. She was just like, "Ooh, I'm gonna like you."
Yeah, the mom just rocks and just like is a badass, and like I like that they don't. The movie doesn't be like, "Isn't that weird?" They're just like, "Yeah, she is."
Yeah, she is. She is a badass. Those exercises she's been doing to like pump up her confidence and stuff. Yeah, no, they have made her a mighty warrior.
Yeah. As she says.
Exactly. I am a mighty warrior. I will say it comes from a very biased place, but Barley is like, he and the mom are kind of tied to me. But that is because like I can empathize with him on such a strong level.
Mm-hmm.
And also he like I think he does such a good job handling Ian.
Yeah.
Like even when he gets upset at Ian, he doesn't like he tries to just cool off and stuff. Ian is the one that like engages with him and kind of pushes him to fight and stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, I feel like the only real like fault that can be found with Barley in a little bit of it is really the complicated dynamics of being the parentified sibling.
Yeah.
Because like you're given you kind of, whether you're given it or you take it on, because I think he took it on. I don't, think I don't think his mom forced him or really but I think that he just naturally took it on, because that's his little brother and he wanted to help him and stuff. But it's like, I'm trying to figure out where my thoughts went in what I've already said. His little brother perceives him as an older brother, and not particularly an older brother that he wants to emulate because it's his older brother. And because his older brother is so different from him, right? And he's probably influenced a little bit by other people who look down on his brother for taking a gap year, and because he has a beat up van and stuff, but it is a beat up van that his brother earned the money for, right? Like that's part of what he like talks about, like at the end he's like he bought a second van and he was saving up for a paint job and stuff. So it's like, yeah, on the surface you could look at it and you could be, think, oh well, he's just like a bum who lives with his mom and stuff, but no, he works really hard.
Right.
And he helps out and stuff. He's just also very like jovial and laid back, and he's also in his own way a historical activist, which his teenage little brother is only embarrassed by because nobody else sees the value in that. So it's just that thing where it's no matter what Barley does as the older brother, that's going to be a thing, and therefore there's naturally going to be pushback. Whereas the little brother, like, he idolizes the dad because he's never met him,
right?
And he doesn't like he's almost not a person to him at that point. Like it's really sad and stuff that he plays back those recordings and like talks to him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it's a pre-recorded conversation that he gets. So like there will never be a chance for his dad to mess up communicating with him. Right?
Yeah, like his dad will always be an idea, and therefore, like, it basically also, by having that father figure that is this idealized sort of abstract concept, it also, I feel like, opens the door for anything, any negative feeling to then, since it can't go that way, get shoveled onto Barley.
Yeah, exactly.
And so just adding to that friction. But yeah, like, I think Barley is a great character, and like, I feel like he's kind of like the point of the movie. Like, I feel like while Ian is like probably would be considered the main character, I think Barley is kind of the point, though.
Yeah, I think Ian's the protagonist, but
right. But
it's
thematically, I think it's about Barley and how, like, because Barley's whole thing is like, everyone doesn't see a lot of value in him, and the stuff like he's really interested in is the part of the world that's like they've let slip away.
I think, I also think that, like, well, Ian has a very dynamic character arc, and like he does a lot of growing and stuff. I think there are two protagonists. Like, I think the movie is equally about both brothers, but it could be very easy for somebody to try to discredit Barley because he is a static character. Like, the only thing he achieves by the end of the movie is just getting closure with his dad, and that doesn't like change him as a person.
Right.
Like, he doesn't like grow and learn from that. He just gets closure and an inner peace about a situation. So he has a static character arc.
Yeah.
That's fine because he doesn't need to grow and change throughout the movie, because he, like, at his starting point is already such a good place.
Right, exactly. The movie's basically like, Barley was right from the beginning. The world has a character arc around Barley to catch up to him, basically. Of like, because like by the end of the movie, everyone's amped about magic again. They all think magic's cool. They're super interested in the history. Ian thinks Barley's cool now. Like, everyone's like, shit, yeah, Barley was awesome this whole time, and we didn't realize it.
And you know what? I have been like arguing the past year or so with people on and off that static characters are just as valid.
Yeah, absolutely.
As dynamic. And now I have a great example.
Barley is an awesome example of a static character being a great character.
Because that's the thing with the static character. Like, in a story, something should change and evolve, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your protagonist. So static characters as protagonists serve the best when they are like when the world around them is changing. Paddington Bear from the movies is actually like the number one example I always think of with a static character, because Paddington does not change at all, but everyone around Paddington grows and stuff. And so, yeah, I think I'm very pleased now that I have a good example of a static character. And I especially love that Ian, like, this whole time, he has wanted to be more like their dad. He has looked at their dad's, like, he's like, dad was confident, dad was this, that, dad was that. Because since their dad's gone, everybody only, like, says good things about the dad and stuff. But, like, Barley is so much like their dad.
Yep.
But by the end of the movie, Ian isn't like, I should be more like Barley and stuff, because through this journey, he, like, Barley has helped him become his own person.
Right.
And so he's like, he's more comfortable and he's more confident. Also, I'm reminded of, like, one of my I think it's one of the funniest parts is when I think he's giving a school report or something at the end. And he's like, and that's why magic, like, can be useful and stuff. And one of his classmates goes, is that how you fixed the school? And he's like, yeah. And then another classmate, such a little asshat, was just like, is that how you broke it too? And he's like, oh, yes. I would be like, technically, it wasn't my magic that broke it. It was the curse.
Technically, it was my dad's magic. But yeah, like...
No, the thing that broke the school was the dragon came.
Right,
and
which was from the cursed...
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with...
Yeah, no, who did curse that gem? Was it the Manticore that cursed it initially?
Whoever put the gem there in the first place.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's just a thing sometimes, is that, you know, treasure gets hidden, curses are put on it, and then the Manticore has the only sword in existence that breaks curses, also knows of every treasure and curse in existence. I need to know how she came about this position.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if she doesn't just have some, like, strong prophecy powers, then she might have been the one to put it there. But, like, if that's the other thing, why didn't she and the mom just go there and wait in the first place?
Yeah, like, did she not know? Did the Manticore forget the finish line?
I would, like...
And also, how do they, like, figure out to double back? Because, like, I don't think they went through the whole thing.
I'm unsure. In all honesty, after Barley sacrifices Guinevere 1, we don't see the mom's travels.
Right, so I'm like, at what point do they decide, screw it, they're probably fine, just turn around?
I lean to the Manticore having prophetic knowledge, and that's why she, like, took a moment and she was like, wait a second.
Yeah, there's a deleted scene where the Manticore just goes like oh yeah, that's where it is, it's back home.
I also like when Ian takes off from the wannabe stepdad centaur cop.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I can't believe I'm running from the cops. And Barley's like, you're not running from the cops. You're running from mom's boyfriend. Until more cops show up and he goes, oh, now we're running from the cops. But
that's why still, like, my dislike for the centaur. Like, at the end of the movie when Ian's like, hardly work. And I'm like, no, be meaner to him. Don't engage. Don't like your new stepdad. Don't like him.
They're not married yet.
Yeah, exactly. Kick him to the curb. We don't need him. Him and his glorious hair can gallop away.
I don't understand the mustache texture after seeing the hair.
Well, and also, while I'm shitting on the centaur, He slaps himself to make himself giddy up.
I know. I was like, why would you do that?
Sir, you're being ridiculous. All right, you're being absurd. You didn't need to
Unless
do
you're
that.
telling me that your bottom half has its own sentience.
Yeah, in which case,
I don't want to consider.
Yeah, like that's a horrible implication. So like, regardless, I don't like you, Centaur. You're either a monstrosity, or you're being a little dramatic. Both are equally bad. So 2 thumbs down to the Centaur. I feel it would be remiss of me to not bring up the anti-capitalist message in this movie of
Go ahead.
The
tavern.
So with basically what Barley is doing throughout the movie is being introduced to characters who are like, yeah, like this is kind of my thing, but I don't do it because what I do instead is like more productive and more expected of me. And Barley goes, screw your productivity, screw all of that. You should do what you are. Don't let society and the economy at large dictate what you do with your life. And he's like this environmentalist guy. Hey, everyone's like, that guy. He's not doing a job, so he's not useful. And he's just going around telling people like, convinces the Manicore to be like, yeah, no, who cares about the shareholders? Screw them. You're a Manicore. Be a Manicore. Same thing with the Pixies, kind of indirectly, but still does it. Does it with Ian. Like, he's just out here getting people to do the not, like, economical thing, but instead do follow their passions and who they're born to be. Go Barley. Sam, are you frozen? Am I frozen?
I'm back.
You are back.
Yes. With the Manticore, like, Barley tried, but then she was still gonna fight it, but then Ian got pissed.
Yeah, Ian gets the finalize that one.
Like, what happened to you? I don't know what did happen to me. Some children traumatized watching a Manticore melt a fake Manticore's face.
Yeah, just throwing all the commercialism out the door to instead be your true self and just let the magic back into your life.
That's right. Connect with your cultural roots.
Yeah.
The parents in the not Chuck E. Cheese tavern crack me up though, because like when certain things happen, they look so uneasy or not okay. Like when she lights the cake with her fire breath and they take a picture and then they look at each other like, are we sure about this? And I'm like, you telling me you rented out like special services and you were not confident that your children would be safe? I mean, yeah, she's a Manticore, but you're paying her.
Yeah, like you should. You didn't go on Fantasy Yelp before you came here and just look at some of the reviews?
Apparently her stinger isn't deadly.
Yeah.
Well, her venom isn't deadly. It just paralyzes you. I do argue that she could probably stab someone to death.
Yeah. Which the owner of that pawn shop can go directly to hell.
The owner. Look, you knew exactly what she was gonna do the second the Manticore started.
For sure. And I'm just like, stab her with your tail. And she did.
Manticore did?
Like, necessary.
So, did you recognize the voices for the brothers?
I did, but I also knew that ahead of time, who they both were. Because I remember when the movie was coming out being like, man, they got both of them.
I didn't. And when I first listened to it, I thought I was I just thought I was hearing wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, the little brother, I'm like, that's Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's Spider-Man.
And then I was like, that's Star-Lord.
I was waiting for the dad to be someone else from Marvel. I was like, the dad's going to be Robert Downey Jr. for like one line.
He kind of looks like
him. I was waiting for it to be Robert Downey Jr. for one line.
Wow.
And he was going to be like, hey, boys, and then disappear.
His, we don't hear him speak, so who's to say he wasn't?
Yeah, exactly. No, he definitely was Robert Downey Jr.
Or Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange is technically the mystical Iron Man.
Yeah. Were there any other, like...
I'm thinking...
I didn't recognize any other actors, just the two main ones. I didn't know if any other, like, celebrities were...
It was just those two. It was, I think that was back when Chris Pratt was...
in every movie on Earth.
Yes, and he was starting to do more voice acting things.
Yeah.
See, when he got cast for Mario because of Onward, I was like, well, maybe he might do a good job. And then I just wished he had chose to stick with the accent or to have no accent. Because
instead of just the weird, like, every 10th word is a little Italian.
Otherwise, I think he did an okay job. Like, not the best voice actor, but in this movie, he did a phenomenal job in this movie. All of the voice actors did, because in an animated movie, the voice acting is so crutch.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought both of the leads did a really good job with the voice acting.
I want them to all have Midwestern accents, not just the centaur.
Yeah, yeah.
Why is he the only one with the accent?
Maybe that's why I don't like him. Maybe it's too close to home. Maybe I don't like the centaur because I've met him.
Pulled me over.
Yeah, maybe I'm just interacted with the centaur, and that's kind of the crux here.
Not gonna lie, I am not a fan of the centaur, but I'm not a fan of him because I think there are little red flags of him being overly involved in a situation, just like in situations involving the kids that he should not be.
Yeah.
Not even just like the adventure thing, but like, well, you pointed out a really good example of it, like earlier, where the boys are like, no, we're going to go do like a thing so we can see our dad and stuff. And he like tells them something like, no, you're not going to make your mother worry anymore. And I'm like, bitch, that's not your call.
Yeah, like, absolutely stay out of this. And also, like, she's been mostly ignoring you every time you call her.
I would be so pissed. I'd be like, did I ask you to be a father
and
to my children? No, we're dating.
Like, he's like a dickhead, and I feel like the movie isn't quite mean enough to him. I'm not saying he needs to, like, face bodily harm. He should have gotten, like, a pie to the face or something.
I think, like with step parents, it's a lot of time healthier and better for all parties involved to let the kids lead the relationship,
right?
Because like that it's their comfort and stuff. You know, sometimes there definitely needs to be like the parents intermediating between the kids and the step parents and stuff, because the kids do need to respect the step parent to, like, as you know, that is my parent's significant other and I should respect them to a level. But as far as like building a familial bond and stuff, that is like that's the kid's decision, and that's like the kids' things, because it's the kid's relationship with the step parent, nobody else's. And as far as the boys they were always very obviously they cannot stand that motherfucker.
Right, and that's the thing too.
So he's not even, like, and respectful to him.
Yeah.
And they acknowledge that is their mom's boyfriend, and therefore they should be polite and respectful to him. But he's condescending. to them.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's very clearly he does. I think on a level he does not approve of the way their moms them. Like maybe he thinks that she's not hard enough on them or stuff or something. It's like,
well, and he also seems very like, they need a man in their life to guide them. And it's like, you are, like you pointed out, you're not even her husband. You are a guy she's dating.
You're not even living with her.
Like, back all the way off. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, something should have happened to him. It doesn't need to be a lot, but something should have happened to him.
The Latin is cute.
An accident should have befallen Officer Centaur.
The gelatinous cube should have taken some of the hair from his horse tail.
Yeah,
not
just singe him a little bit.
Though, because that's got bones and is connected to the spine and stuff, and we're trying to avoid bodily harm.
Right.
Like maybe his tail, or a little bit of a hoof. That's like a giant toenail.
Yeah, he'd be fine. Or like a little gelatinous cube gets on him and it makes like a tattoo on him that lasts forever as a reminder of him being a dumb idiot.
I love how that reminds me. I love how the Manticore is like, you want to see my prophecies?
Just rolls up his sleeve. Oh, the Manticore rocks. But yeah, no, he's Officer Centaur's a dickhead, and I just don't like him at all.
I do like the officer who like stopped and was trying to empathize with him. She's great. She's like my girlfriend's daughter drives me crazy.
Yeah,
like, I get it. Being a parent is hard and stuff, and I think it's sweet that she just said being a parent is hard, and then in a roundabout way went to reassure him that she is a step parent, so she is the same kind of parent.
Right.
But then that other bitch. Oh yeah, like I feel so bad for you. Like her son is a handful.
Yeah, like
I know her younger son. He's just awkward. Like, no, I'm talking about that one who protests and is like major screw up and shit.
What sucks is how like realistic that is, because I'm like, what an asshole, and then I'm like, there are so many people though that would be like, oh yeah, that 19-year-old is a disaster because he took a gap year. Like,
we don't know if he took a gap year. And first of all, studies have proven that gap years in between high school and college are actually really good for you. And two, like I said, we don't know why he took a gap year.
Yeah.
Because like this is his brother's senior year in high school. And maybe the college he wanted to go to is far away. And maybe he decided to stay home so he could be there for his brother in his last year of school.
Yeah.
Because like he seems very focused on Ian.
Right.
You know.
And like also
he's earning money somehow. I need it acknowledged. He saved up for not one, but 2 vans and a paint job that probably costs more than the van.
Like, how much of an asshole do you have to be talking to who you think is the child you're about to talk shit about, their mother's boyfriend?
Right there too.
Yeah, and you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, the oldest sucks. I hate him because he's 19 and lives at home. Like, if that was actually Officer Centaur, he would have had every right to stomp that man to death with his hooves.
How old is Barley in Onward?
I think they're like 19 and 16, respectively.
Barley is around 18, 19, yeah. This age is inferred from the fact that his mother, Laurel, mentions he's on a gap year, so.
Yeah, so, like, you're the most evil figure in this movie, random cop that decided to go after Barley for nothing. Like,
This also means that Barley has been helping raise his brother, who is like 1 year younger than him.
Yeah.
So.
And that is kind of another interesting thing with the dynamic is I'm like, you two are really close in age to have this much of that dynamic. I'm like, I feel like you two.
They've got like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I would have thought Barley was 20, but.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like they might just be 2 years apart. Like you guys like could have had a class together. Like I think you guys are peers.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's the other thing, and that adds to why Ian is so like annoyed when Barley essentially tries to dad him sometimes.
Yeah, of just like, dog, you are not that much older than me.
Well, I mean, not by the numbers, but like somebody grew up a lot faster than someone else. I saw him pushing that bicycle.
Yeah.
He's just so cute with how hyped he is whenever Ian succeeds over something. Like when Ian has magic, Barley, who is obsessed with their history of magic, who is obsessed with the mystical cultural root of not just them, but their town and their world and everything. Because he goes around trying to like protect the historical sites that like, you know, were very important to them in the era of magic and stuff. And he doesn't get the magic, but his little brother, who wants absolutely nothing to do with any of this, gets the magic. And there's not a speck of resentment.
Right?
He's just happy for him.
I don't think Barley is sad about that for a single second.
No, I mean, he was disappointed at first. Well, that he didn't get it.
Right, he was disappointed that he couldn't do it.
Yeah, but like, not that. Yeah, it was never a why are you the wizard and not me? No, it's just, oh, I'm not one, but you are, and that's cool, and I know that you can do it because I believe in you.
Which is why Barley is, which as I'm saying this, it's literally in the name, he's 100% a bard, and that, like, bro is casting bardic inspiration the entire movie.
I never thought about what his class would be.
Oh yeah, the whole movie I'm like, that's my bard. Barley the bard. And yeah, he's just casting bardic inspiration on everyone the whole movie.
Getting nat 20s.
Yeah, he's just nailing it. And I'm sat here thinking of how awful a party composition just a wizard and a bard would be.
That's why their only enemy was a gelatinous cube.
Right, that's why they mainly just kind of did puzzles.
Maybe Barley was like multi-classed. Maybe he
might have taken a level of fighter.
Cavalier, because like Guinevere.
Yeah.
Or Ranger, because Rangers get like that bonding.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ranger because of the way he like tracked shit. So he's like a bard and Ranger, which is a fascinating combination.
That is, yeah.
And he definitely like his brother is a level 1 wizard, and he's like probably got like 5-6 levels in each.
Oh yeah.
Also, he was the Merlin of the story, in which he was the wise old mentor.
Yeah, is the wise old mentor while being the like quote screw up.
Also, the dad legs.
Hilarious.
They were iconic.
Just very funny. The hardest I laughed in the movie is when he got cut in half and the legs just keep going. I'm like, yeah, that's really funny. All right.
It's really cute how like every time they stop somewhere or something, he reaches out to touch both of them.
Oh, adorable.
And it's like, it's so subtle that you might not notice. And I know I didn't notice it 100% until he does it, and Ian goes, "Oh, Dad, he's not there." Like Ian also noticed that was the thing their dad kept doing. So
I also really liked that. So like Barley and the dad had that little like tap on the foot thing, to show that like that is specifically Barley. But because Ian and the dad never had that, theirs is literally they just like kind of lay on, like just touch and just kind of stay there. And I'm like, That's so sweet.
It is. Well, at the time, like that might have been a thing the dad did with him. Not that Ian would remember.
Right.
You know, he only had the little baby hand.
Yeah, and so he just did a little, just like, kind of like how a baby will like just grab the finger. Like they just did that with just little leg. And I'm like, that's the sweetest thing ever.
The little baby hand with all of the massive strength of Hercules.
Yes, that will never let you go. I also have a headcanon that could probably potentially be disproven, but I will hear no evidence regardless. I think the dad could hear as legs.
I think so too.
I think he could hear them. He
just
couldn't talk back.
Things.
Yeah, because like when they were arguing, he just starts dancing, and I'm like, what? Yeah, he starts dancing. Why would he start dancing? Unless he heard the song. He could hear the song. He can hear.
Barley tries to explain it as like, oh, he must feel.
Oh yeah, the vibrations.
But that doesn't explain it once he leaves the van.
He leaves the van and starts dancing.
Know where they were. There was no hesitation.
Yeah, no, he was doing that to lighten the mood and break the tension because his boys were fighting.
Yeah, he just pretended he didn't know what was going on half the time. I also like how they eventually get the little like child leash.
It's so funny. Be like, nope, Dad. And also, just we need someone. No one can hold their breath that long. Legs.
Right. See, that's the other thing because like they throw him down there and he doesn't move. He just lets them direct them.
Yeah.
As if he knew what they wanted him to do.
Yeah, he knew that.
He can't see, so he's waiting for them to direct him. And I'm like, no, that motherfucker could hear them.
He could hear.
And one might be like, well, how could he hear them? He didn't have ears. Magic.
Yeah, magic.
How is he not bleeding out?
Right, like
he's only
how he hears them is magic, and that's that. And yeah, and I also think that he absolutely organized the quest knowing that it was a big circle. He 100%.
In the dad's defense, he left them all the materials.
Yeah, I think he knew that they would need a second one, and I think he just set this up so that they could have a bonding experience. That's why he waited until they were both like kind of old enough to do it.
Not just waited until they were adults, so that the one time they saw each other, they'd remember and have. But so you think the dad put the other Phoenix gem there, and so he's the one who put the stone down?
I think so. I think he organized this whole thing.
That's
because he wanted them to go on a quest together.
He might have gone into remission. Not done that.
Yeah. They're like, please just take your medicine. And he's like, no, I have to set up a quest for when I die.
Also, how wild is it to think that, like, so Barley went to go check on his little brother, right? Because he heard a lot of things, and he seemed like a mix of annoyed and confused. Like, what the fuck are you, like, throwing around and shit? And he, like, goes in there. But if he had never gone in there, like, Ian would have just been so zoned out and shocked that he would not have had the cognitive function to lose confidence. Because he was just like, because the spell was so stable until like he became conscious of the fact he was casting it.
Right, until he realized he was doing magic.
And I'm like, that's just wild. Could we say that Barley fucked up because he didn't knock? Yes, but are we going to? No.
No, we won't do that to Barley.
Because he is best boy, and he never messes up ever. Also, Ian. This kind of like backs up what you said earlier about because the dad is so idealized, none of the negative feelings can be placed toward him.
Mm-hmm.
Barley is not the reason the pixies went after them.
No, their dad is.
The pixies would have just let Barley be dragged away and that be the end of it. But no, the dad's like drunk top half.
Right.
Their bikes, and they were like, motherfuckers.
And like, yeah, like obviously you're not gonna blame the legs about it. And so it's once again an example of he's just like, I have a negative feeling, I gotta put it somewhere. Barley, here you go.
And Barley is a safe place to throw it because he knows that Barley will love him unconditionally, no matter how much of a dick he is. Teenagers.
I do love Ian a lot, though.
He's great. Like, okay, we've been saying how much we love Barley, and I have no negative feelings toward Ian.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a teenager who wants to connect with his dead parent, and yes, he hurts his brother's feelings, and he's like, yeah, you are just a screw up. Like, he's still, first of all, teenagers, neither of their brains are fully developed.
No, not at all.
And both of them are still like at the part where bad decisions and impulses are what rules their brain matter, even if Barley does seem mildly more mature and stuff. Like, well, okay, I'm applying human physiology to my elf voice, but we're gonna go with it because of how thematic and emotional Pixar movies are. So, like, he's just trying. He's having a wild bad day. He's overwhelmed half the time, and for what it's worth, he does, like, he learns and he grows and he makes it up to him too, because
yeah,
tells him, he's like, I realized that, essentially he's like, I realized that I never had a dad and I never needed a dad because I had you.
Right.
But you didn't have anyone like that.
Right. Well,
we're excluding mom because
sure.
They both had her.
Yeah, because like Ian is the dynamic character of the movie, and like that is part of why I like Ian so much, is that like he recognizes, like, yeah, everyone is kind of shitty to Barley, myself included, without a whole lot of like external motivators to that.
Yeah, I was about to say, nobody points it out to him.
He discovers that fully on his own.
Yeah, he figures it out when he's looking at the check, because he made, for the audience, he made a list of all the things he wanted to do with their dad once they fixed the spell. And then he realized, like, at first it's only, he goes through the list and it's only stuff that he and Barley had done that night. But at the very bottom, it's share my life with him. And in the context of making the list for the dad, he wanted to tell his dad all about his life. But in the context of the list, when thinking about Barley, he starts realizing he has shared his life with Barley, and he has so many good memories with his brother, and not just the memories of his brother taking care of him. Like, I know we've mentioned the parificate and like parentification and the bicycle and Barley teaching him and stuff, but he also just remembers like cute sibling things like jumping on the bed. So what were you gonna say?
No, what I was gonna say is, like, I do feel like the slightest bit of like thing that, because like we've talked about, like, Barley's largely static. I think the one thing he does sort of learn, I do think he gets better at handling Ian as the movie progresses. In the sense of like
anxiety, because
like I think
I don't attribute that to him getting better at it so much. It's just like he's adjusting.
Yeah, like he just kind of pivots a little bit, because I think he kind of starts to see it's like, okay, I need to relax a little bit around Ian.
Yeah, he's like, I'm too excited. I'm too excitable.
I'm winding him up by being this huge. I'm not gonna fully like rein myself in. I am gonna just be a little like steadier with Ian.
Yeah, I just argued that that's not something he learned so much as it shows characterization that he's always been taking care of him, because he does like very quickly recognize Ian's needs and adjust to them.
That's
like that
fair.
is a practiced thing that he has done.
Yeah, it feels more just like sort of like course correction. Like he changes lanes, and but he's still driving.
Yes, and it's like, I am glad that you pointed it out though, because it's such a good like example in the writing of showing a character who does course correct, and it's not just like he wasn't just that the entire movie, right?
Right.
Like he didn't just like try to override it, because so many times like sibling dynamics, there'll be like the one, you know, anxious sibling and the other one who's overbearing and pushy. And I like that, like, while there were moments of both of those, there were also moments of like, they were just moments, right? They weren't the defining feature, and they weren't like the only focus in everything.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it like, they don't make it like a, look how Barley's grown. It's just a little like, you know, like, it's not like a, they don't do a whole like, Barley was wrong, now he's right, because Barley's just always been right. He just sort of pivots his behavior a little bit, and I think that is such a good like depiction of actual behavior. Yes. Like, a lot of times, like, like, it's not even a change, you just adjust a little bit.
Yeah, and especially with like siblings, because you're used to dealing with your sibling and stuff.
Yeah.
It would have, I think it would have been like out of character for Barley had he not course corrected, just with as attentive and intuitive he has seemed with like everything else. And like at the beginning of the movie, when he plays around with his mom, he does the wrestling with her and stuff, but he doesn't really do that with Ian at first.
Yeah,
he sort of like ruffles him up a little bit, and he's more like defends his ongoing campaign map.
He does knock his breakfast out of his hands, I think, once. And
well, okay, I think he does that because he was trying to, like, that was just a sibling thing.
Oh yeah,
don't touch my toys, don't touch my stuff. Not like actively trying to wrestle him.
As a still very hungry person, when I was watching that scene, I'm like, I am getting so mad on Ian's behalf right now.
Do you know how much
if people took my breakfast away that many times, I would lose it.
Do you know how much I have to love Barley for the fact that I didn't even like process food Matt was being hurt? I didn't even process that because I'm like,
oh yeah, because Barley does 5-second rule and eats Ian's breakfast, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get you. Don't eat my food. I
can't say anything when I was a teenager. That's some shit I would do to my sisters.
And me as the also teenager would be like, I'm gonna burn the house down.
Hey, look, food should not be wasted. We can make another breakfast.
And then dickhead Centaur also, him being the third one to do it, because he loses his breakfast. I think every member of the family accidentally knocks his breakfast out of his hand. And I'm like,
at least when Barley did it, it didn't go to waste.
It didn't go to waste for Barley, that's true. But yeah, the Centaur does it, and that's when he's like, I'm gonna go buy food. I'm like, you should have punched him.
You should have punched the Centaur. He had no right to.
Yeah, exactly. You should have hit the Centaur.
Mom gets a pass because she's his mom.
Right. Barley gets a pass because he's Barley. Centaur gets no pass.
Well, no, Barley doesn't get a pass because he's Barley. Barley gets a pass because they're brothers and your siblings are just annoying like that. But the Centaur, motherfucker, it's rude.
Yeah, no, you don't even live here.
I want to give Barley credit that when his thing got caught on the sweater, he immediately stops moving his arm. And like, I know in that moment Ian is super frustrated at Barley, but I'm like, bruh, that's just clothes.
Yeah. But I do think that, I'm glad you pointed that out, though, because I do think that is a great example of Barley's character of, like, you know, he's zany and running all around. The second he needs to lock in, he locks in.
Yeah.
Because Barley is the one to be like, no, just hold still and we can untangle it. And Ian's the one to be like, no.
I know. Barley felt so bad, you could see it in his face.
Yeah, he just immediately was like, oh shit, yeah, sorry, let me be serious for a second.
The mom was like, I'll sew that up for you later. I'm like, no, you leave it home. You don't take a threaded sweater out of the house with one of the threads loose?
No, that sleeve is gonna be gone by the end of the day.
The first time I saw the movie, I was so worried about that sweater. Also, it's cute that he like sews it up himself, though.
Yeah.
And I think his mom points that out too, that he knows how to sew and whatnot.
Yeah. I don't know how to sew and should probably learn.
You should. It's a good skill to have.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else we want to talk about? We have a severe thunderstorm, which I'm like, oh yay, that's my welcome home party from the state. So my brain is starting to lose focus.
Yeah.
I think we talked about everything I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we hit everything on my notes.
Because the cast of characters is not large. Even when we consider like the side character, I mean, technically there looked like there was like 30 pixies, but
yeah. That is the one note that we didn't address. I want to fight the pixies.
You want to fight the pixies?
I want to fight them.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like it's one of those.
Apparently, they can lift motorcycles.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was one of those things I was like, no, I think this would be a good fight. Like,
not confirmed if each pixie can individually lift the motorcycle.
I don't think they can, because they were always doing it as a collective. I'm like, this would be fun. Like, it's not even out of much animosity outside of just like their voices. I found slightly grating, which I think is just kind of by design. But I'm just like,
because to our ears, a sound like that. So that's
and so but just like as I was watching it,
I hated when Barley sounded like that.
Yeah, I'm like that was like that bit. I was like, this is funny, and then I'm like, we can wrap it up though. Like,
we should talk about the sacrifice of Guinevere.
Yeah. We should also talk about how Barley was really confident in the timing of that as to not murder several cops.
Who's to say he can't?
Like, including their mom's boyfriend. I'm like, hey, if your math was a little off, and not a lot has led me to believe you're great at math.
He is a D&D DM. He did not doubt his math first.
I'm like, you could have killed those people, and you kind of went right to that.
I like that. This is another like really good way that they subverted the because up until that point they had been relying on the magic and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like Barley could see how stressed Ian was getting, and how the more Ian failed, the more he stressed, and he was like, I need to do something to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sacrificed the van that he had saved up for, and that he had saved up for a custom art job or art paint. And like, that was an old van with some quirks. It was to the point where he and that van, they were bonded. He spoke with it. They had a communication. And he had just taught his little brother to drive on the highway in that van.
Well, and what I love too is like, so like, you know, Barley gets his moment to like save the day. And it isn't with a skill per se. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think Barley has practice
for the skill.
What?
The mathematics and the timing for the skill.
But like Barley saves the day by once again like just having the biggest heart in the room.
Yeah.
And like just being Barley is what does it.
Yeah, and he didn't really want it, like he did not want it acknowledged or dwelt on, like what a big sacrifice that was. And he also, it really defined that no matter how much, because he had been treating that car like a person the entire time. Yep. And no matter how much that car meant to him, his little brother getting the chance, well, both of them getting the chance to see their dad, but his little brother getting the chance to meet their dad was infinitely more important to him.
Right.
Because like, they were not, like, their lives were not in danger, but he knew that in that moment, if they were caught and if they couldn't see their dad, he knew that Ian would blame himself.
Right.
And that, just judging by like, which is why the animation's so good, because like the look on his face, and you can just see it as he's like internalizing it, and he's like, I can't let that happen to Ian.
Yeah. Well, and it's just Barley's consistent thing throughout the movie of he's all jovial and silly until like Ian
Like,
is involved, and then he's just like, all right, nope, never mind, I'm gonna lock in.
The only time Ian ever sees Barley truly vulnerable, well, no, there are times he sees Barley like truly vulnerable. One is on the Cheeto Puff, which CB is here, and she's what a comment out of context to come in. They're sitting on the Cheeto
when
Puff.
they're sitting on the Cheeto Puff.
I mean, I guess you could call it that he's a blue elf.
Yeah, it's him and Chris Pratt voicing elves.
That Smurf elves.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he's on the Cheeto and he admits to not seeing their dad because he was scared, and even then he didn't like get super like vulnerable. You could just tell that he can't talk about it without. And he takes his hat off too. That's like how. Then he puts it back on and he tries to move past it really quickly. So the one time that Ian sees him like deeply vulnerable, Barley doesn't know he can see him because he's like, and oh my God, that boy fights so hard to stand on those rocks so he can peek out and watch Barley. And Barley talks to their dad, and then that hug, it breaks my heart because like as the dad disappears, Barley just starts hugging himself. And then like you can tell that Barley is allowing himself that moment of vulnerability and that moment to just be completely honest and weak and stuff. And then you see him gather himself up and start to go toward his little brother. And by the time like he's face to face with Ian, all that's left on his face is the concern for Ian because he's in the rubble. And I'm like, I'm so glad that the movie let Ian peek through those rocks, and the like symbolism of Ian having to fight to see his brother be vulnerable and sad. And how like, you know how we were talking about how genuinely happy Barley was for Ian about the magic? Ian seemed just as genuinely happy and relieved that Barley got to talk to their dad. And I like how the two things Barley chose to tell Ian was like, you know, the question he said, like, ask Dad this for me, or this is what I would ask Dad.
Yeah.
And he told him the answer to that, and then he's like, and Dad says he's proud of you. And then he was gonna leave it at that, but then Ian's like, or he's like proud of the man that you've become, and he's like, well, that is in large part thanks to you. And then Barley just goes, yeah, he said that too. Like he is so used to not being acknowledged for anything. He cannot process both of them pointing it out.
No, it's so sweet. And like, and like both of them like being kind of like their most amped is when the other gets the thing that they need.
Oh, it's so cute.
Like, God, they're adorable.
I would also like to point out that instead of taking out his hurt and anger on his little brother, Barley's answer was just to stop at a gas station and shove Cheetos in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, emotional.
Which I say,
I relate.
Barley, and yet you stole Ian's breakfast. You see how important food is, and you stole Ian's breakfast. That is your one sin of the movie, Barley, is you took a 16-year-old boy's breakfast.
To be fair, is he 16? I thought he was 18.
Ian is 16.
Oh, then Barley is 3 years older than him.
Yeah, if he's 19.
Yeah, well, or I thought it was, for some reason, I thought it was Ian's 18th birthday.
No, yeah, it's 16.
Well, I fucked up at the beginning while you were gone and I was summarizing the movie.
Oh.
Then Matt, this entire time we were saying there's only a year difference. Why didn't you
No,
correct?
I said 2 year. Because I'm assuming that Barley's still 18. He's two or three.
Okay. Well, earlier I said they're only like a year apart, and you were like, "Yeah, that's wild."
I don't know. Maybe I thought you were rounding up or down. I don't know.
It's fine. Anyway, so he is 3. That tracks more.
But yeah, like I do also, to completely pivot.
Mm-hmm.
A thing to very much zoom out on the movie
Yes.
is just looking at quests as a whole. And I think this movie is a really interesting look at, quote, quests, because it is in such a like regular world, and to have a quest in that setting, and how like desirable quests are to everyone. Because like
I just need to know: do they reset? Is it one and done?
yeah, that is right.
Who's setting them up?
But like, even like very pragmatic Ian is there. Barley's like, we could do a quest about this, and Ian's like, no, all right, yeah, let's go, hell yeah. And like, I'm just like, I think that speaks on such a larger point of what everyone wants, and it's a little bit of like, hey, just tell me what to do, and I will go do it. But everyone wants a Gandalf to be like, you gotta go do this.
Everyone wants to live an adventure in their life, but like when with instructions.
Right, exactly. Because I'm like, everyone could, like, you could build a raft and get in the Atlantic if you felt like it. But you have no instructions and you have no endpoints, and no one does that. A couple people do that, but really no one does that.
I don't think a Cheeto raft would survive in the Atlantic. I think the fish would eat it.
Yeah. And so, like, I think that's part of why quests in fiction are so appealing to people. It's a little bit just like, God, I wish someone would give me a quest so I knew what to do.
I like the like perspective shift on quest things like later, because like you know, at the beginning of their adventure, Ian's like, we should take the expressway. And Barley's like, no, you never take the most obvious route. Which one? The expressway wouldn't have been an obvious route back when the quest was made. Theoretically, question mark. But also too, well, that's very fair. Usually, like with quests and stuff, because the whole point is to hide the thing that people are looking for. They try to make it cryptic, and so that they are in fact hard to find.
Yeah.
But also then at the end of the movie, he's like, oh, there's a road to ruin or something like that. And he's like, no, that's too obvious. And I'm like, I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah. Ian's like, no. You have to go, when it snakes, you go do the one you don't think it is, so you can collect all of the items by going that way, and then you double back around and go the right way.
Exactly.
You got to get all your potions.
He's like, we'll just fly there. And I'm like, okay, but last time, the like one, it had clues on the path. Now you're in the sky. You can't see the clues.
That was with the expressway thing. That was one time when I was like, okay, Barley, I love you, Barley, and I know that you're right because I've seen enough movies to know that you're right.
No, you know why he was right? Because there was no apostrophe on that thing.
True. But Barley doesn't know that's why he's right.
But that's why he's right.
I'm like, Barley, I need you. Barley, I love you. I need you to see where Ian is coming from here. Like,
no, Barley is that's the whole point. Is that Barley's wisdom is what's the highest your stat can be? His wisdom is 20.
Yes. But Barley, you gotta communicate that to Ian. because Ian has no reason to think that he's not right.
He tried.
And he's not right, and I know he's not right, and I knew he wasn't right. But
Like,
Ian doesn't know that, and Barley, you can only be so mad at Ian for not having clairvoyance like I know you do. You gotta recognize that your boy doesn't have that.
secretly, Barley is the reincarnation of an ancient deity.
Yeah. Like, Barley, I know that you are correct here. Ian doesn't know that, and you're not explaining it well.
At first, when he pulled up the thing with the child had solved the puzzle and stuff,
Mhm.
I thought that like he had been doing it.
I thought he had too.
And I thought that like, but I think what we saw was just him digging around for one that's already done.
Yeah.
But that would have been even funnier if he had been doing it, and he'd be like, "I solved the riddle."
I
But
did
it was also very cute that he was like, "Little Kayla solved it for us."
Well, and I do think it's also a good example of the movie's themes being like, yeah, like the wisdom and like the right answer doesn't need to be hard.
Yeah.
Like, and like it isn't necessarily from like being a grown up. Like, yeah, you got the answer by solving a kids menu.
Yes.
Good job.
Because the kids menus were all based on her previous adventures. Which, how did he know that that one specifically was based on? Because the way the Manticore phrased it, presumably, they were different ones. But we only saw one, so maybe she changes them out. And that one happened to be the Phoenix Gem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I need to know how the Phoenix Gems are made. Was that actually a Phoenix egg that just got
demolished? Two Phoenix eggs that got demolished?
It says they're rare, but how many are there?
Yeah, 2 left.
It's been a while since I've seen Onward, so I had one of my children distracted me. So when Barley pulls out the one Phoenix like gem, I forgot that their dad had given it to them, and I'm like, Barley, were you just keeping that?
Yeah, did you just have that?
Like, because I think I know why you couldn't afford a better van if that is the case.
Yeah, if you're just doing stuff like that.
This is random, but like it's because I looked at my keyboard, which is the same color scheme as the mom's outfit, and I love the mom's outfit.
Love the mom's outfit.
I want it. For winter, I don't know how she survived in what was presumably summer. Wearing that sweater, that looked like a wool sweater.
Yeah, she had to be burning up.
Or cashmere or something.
Although they were all dressed kind of warmly. Like, Ian wore a flannel, Barley had a jacket.
Okay, flannels are not dressing warmly.
I get warm in a flannel.
That's you.
It's gotta be.
Okay, hold on. There's two different types of flannels. There's like the actual flannels that keep you warm, and then those thin. They're not actually flannels. They're
right. If it's just like if he was just wearing like a flannel print button-up shirt.
Yeah, which I think, based on the thinness, that's what it was wearing, because those were like super popular. Mm-hmm. For high schoolers to just wear.
Like, oh yeah, I wore those all the time in high school.
Get the aesthetic of flannel without actually sweating. Yeah. So I think that's what he was wearing, especially since he like had it rolled up half the time.
No, I did feel a little attacked.
Ian was like wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Or not Ian, Barley.
Well, didn't he have a jacket on?
No, he has a vest.
Oh, yeah, it is sleeveless.
Yeah, it's just a denim vest.
Yeah. But no, I did feel slightly attacked by Ian's outfit because he dressed exactly how I dressed in high school.
Same.
I'm like, all right, man. Relax.
The whole movie was just designed to attack you, man.
A little bit.
that is why I picked it for you. I vaguely remembered that they were Midwestern elves, and I'm like, it is a movie about brothers.
It's
So
still not as direct an attack as Encanto was.
that's fascinating.
Encanto is a direct blow to my psyche, did intense psychic damage.
To be fair, it's that way for a lot of people with big families, especially.
Yeah, and like this movie, I'm just like, all right, really going after my aesthetic here, but fine.
It's like I grew up with two parents. Okay, I can't relate to this.
Yeah. But Encanto,
because they have both parents.
yes.
Well, most of them do.
Yeah.
Not the three siblings, but yeah, the triplets. If is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I don't believe so. I do feel like we've done a pretty. We have been streaming for almost as long as the movie is.
Yeah, at this point, you can just go watch the movie.
Like,
I do like recommend if anybody who has Disney Plus and hasn't seen Onward.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend.
And if you don't have Disney Plus, I'm not saying you should find another way to watch it.
Right. We don't encourage that.
But it is a really good movie, and the acting and the animation, just everything about it's good.
And also just like a very easy watch.
Actually, I would say the Centaur is a good point in the movie to have because it gives me and Matt something to dislike, so we don't just seem like we're
we're not industry plants. We didn't like the Centaur.
Yeah.
I don't think the Centaur.
I will say I like him a little more every time after the hair reveal, though, and I'm like, I'm such a basic bitch. He has such pretty hair, but then he smacks his own ass, and I get so confused.
And I get pissed off. I'm like, you're a problem.
You're a problem. She deserves the better man.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like, I leave him.
I was waiting for it at some point for her to just tell him to like that he's overstepping boundaries.
And yeah, I wanted her to break up with him the whole movie. Like I know it's like the C plot going on, but I'm like,
she had more important things, and
yeah, I want her to be like
a really terrible joke, but I'm like, you know what? No, I won't.
I just want her to be like, and also we're done on one of the phone calls, and then he's never in the movie again, or like a rock falls on him and he's okay, but like he has like a big bump on his head.
But Ian tolerates him now.
Yeah, that's the worst thing about Ian.
You know,
he tolerates him.
The funniest thing about that to me is that like he's a centaur and Barley has a Pegasus painted on his.
Yeah.
But also, like, his Pegasus is painted on because it's, like, a majestic steed and stuff. But we saw, like, some Pegasus eating out the garbage, like raccoons.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I am now confused as
that
to the
feels
lore.
like that feels like such a teenager thing to do, is to paint a majestic raccoon on your van.
You know what? That's fair.
That feels very accurate.
And I loved it and hated it at the end of the movie when Ian was like, you don't have to afford a paint job because, like, I already did it for you. And only painted, like, the actual portrait of, like, them riding Guinevere into battle together was, like, so it's just one of the greatest gifts he could have given Barley. And Barley absolutely loved it. I'm mad he didn't paint the whole van.
Yeah.
Like, just that part. I'm like, when they go to paint the rest of the van, this is gonna cause problems.
I think Ian just had like $70, and that was the best he could do.
You know what? Well, see, we don't know if he paid for it or if he did it with magic, but there was no to our knowledge, there was no magic spells that like car paint job.
Yeah.
So he could solve world hunger too, though, with the enlarge spell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those like I don't like this isn't an actual criticism, but like when they're like, yeah, everyone just kind of stopped being interested in magic, I'm like, bullshit. No,
right?
they didn't.
Okay, I could kind of see like the people who can't do magic becoming less interested in magic, but
Yeah,
the
and I could see
the wizards,
some spells being obsolete.
right?
Like, yeah,
like,
a light spell does kind of lose some meaning when you have light bulbs. They didn't invent enlargement.
yes.
They didn't invent floating. That's still handy.
They didn't invent floating cheetahs. Also, that accelerate, I could use that on my car, save some gas.
Yeah, like they absolutely. The world did not lose interest in magic.
Bridge, bruh. I could use that to like get around people at the grocery store.
Yeah, just levitate yourself up and then walk across aisles that way.
It's like, look, I'll believe it, I'll buy into it because this is what we need to set up the story, and the story is really good. But like, I'm a side eye it. Yeah, maybe these magical creatures just aren't built the same way humans are, though. Maybe they did, in fact.
Yeah, nitpicks like that. Like, I never will actually like have just like same with the Cheeto. Like, I will never have true annoyance with those things. I do think they're very silly to bring up, though, and fun to talk about.
I don't think your angst against the Cheeto is on the same level as your minor nitpick about the people losing interest in.
Look, the Cheeto, he could have picked any other food. Like,
it's only I feel like emotionally they're only on the same level for you now because we pointed out the difference between saliva and a river.
Yeah, that one really that really put a nail in that coffin. But still. And was it a river or was it a sewer? I don't remember. Or like a spring. Because they end up going up through a manhole at the end. So at one point that was a sewer.
I actually think it's a river to an underground well.
Yeah.
And I think that the well is what they were trying to tear down. Because like at the beginning.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right.
The movie when like when it shows him protesting, the officer was like yelling, that's the other thing, don't bring that home, keep your job separate from the home. Like, but sorry, where he was like telling Barley basically that like you make my job fucking harder with your activism, and it like shows Barley's like he's chained up to that well trying to drink it because like ancient heroes and stuff used to drink from it.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing does take him. So I think the well is now defunct.
Also, it happened quickly, so I could have just like misseen this. But when Barley goes to the well at the end of the movie to like get the Phoenix gem, the cops from before are there, right? That's who sees him as like, ah, damn it, it's Barley. It's the cops that stop them on the road.
No, it's not the cops who stop them. It's two different cops.
Okay, because
he's just well known by the police.
Well, but because at one point they go, because the people that see him at the well, they go, ah, damn it, it's Barley. And then they say, call the cops. I'm like, motherfucker, that's you. You're the cops.
Wait, no, those weren't police. That was the construction.
And yeah, I think it's not police. Okay, because like when it happened, I thought it was the cops from before, and then they said call the cops, and I'm just like,
no, I'm pretty sure.
What are you talking about? You're the cops.
I'm pretty sure because like you see them in the background first as Barley gets up and then he gets in the thing, and they're always in the background, but they don't approach him until he's in the well, like digging around, and then they basically need him to move because they're going to take it down that day.
Yeah,
it looked like they were discussing how best to get rid of the well, and then like he comes up, and which also means that like his poor protest did not succeed.
No,
because they were 100% going to knock that well.
Absolutely.
Down. So they wanted to call the cops to make him leave so that they could do the thing. But they had the same level of I'm so done with him that the police officer did, though. Yeah, I think he's just known.
Yeah, far and wide.
Yeah, very infamous.
Yeah.
Marley.
I did like that callback though, that the gem was in the fountain that he was trying to protect.
Yes.
I'm like, that's a good callback. Like,
it is.
Nice.
I also need to know who his friends are, because he's presumably running a campaign.
Yeah. We never see Marley's friends.
And we never see them. Maybe they're off at college.
I really hope he's not like running a campaign for himself.
That's what I hope.
I hope he's not doing that.
And him and his mom, they play it like.
Oh yeah.
And the dragon pet. But he mostly just eats his character sheets.
Yeah.
I also love how happy he is to see them every time. He's so doofy. I love him.
Yeah. Very cute little dragon.
All right. I think we are wrapped up.
Yeah. I think we are like exactly at the runtime of the movie right now.
Was that your goal, Methodology? Look how tired I look.
It wasn't the goal, but I do like it. Let me Google to find out. We're actually a little past the runtime.
Yeah, I was about to say we're past it now.
We're past the runtime, but we did miss about 5 minutes where I was blacked out and was sent away. So really, we're like on it right now.
All right. Well, we will very quickly. Whip Wednesdays on CB's channel this week. I have a write-in next week, and my June schedule will be posted hopefully sometime next week. And yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Goodbye.